Happy Monday. I hope you're having a great day and a great start to your week. We're going to be looking at forgiveness today, and forgiveness is a pivotal part of both our salvation and our daily life as a Jesus follower, isn't it? I mean, forgiveness from our sins is part of our salvation story, accepting that gift from the Lord and the atonement that Jesus's blood offers for my sin. And then day in and day out, confessing my sins to the Lord and resting in the total atonement that Jesus's blood did provide for my life, but wanting that reconciliation with the Father by confessing my sins so that I can be in close fellowship with Him. There was a video devotional that we put out a while back about another piece of forgiveness, and that was living out forgiveness when we need to be the one to extend forgiveness to someone else who has sinned against us. And today we're going to look at the piece of forgiveness when we need to be the ones who ask for forgiveness. When I have sinned against someone else, and I need to go to the other person and apologize, confess my sin, and ask them to forgive me. Most of the time that there is a situation where I need to apologize and need to ask for forgiveness, it often comes out of a situation where there's been conflict. And regardless of who did what first, there is usually a piece of it where I sinned against someone and I need to apologize and I need to ask them for forgiveness. And as I pray through that conflict, I often start by just venting to the Lord about my frustration over what the other person did or what they said. And once I get that off my chest with the Lord, He consistently moves my heart to a place of humility to be able to ask, okay, Lord, show me my part in this. Show me how I have sinned against you and against this other person. And He's so faithful. He always exposes me to me when I ask Him to. And He humbles my heart and He prompts me to remember 1 John 1 verse 9, that if I confess my sins, He is faithful and He is just to forgive me my sins and to purify me. And this is the hardest part, though, is going to the other person and voluntarily humbling myself before them, owning my sin, my piece of the contribution to the conflict, and asking them to forgive me. Sometimes the conflict might be related or might be a situation where the other person did sin against me, but then it's like I joined them. I responded sinfully to their sin, and I'm responsible for that. I'm responsible for confessing that to the Lord, and I'm responsible for seeking forgiveness from that person in order to seek reconciliation in the relationship. But that's tough because, sometimes I like to talk more about their piece of the conflict versus what I contributed. James 5 verse 16 tells us to confess our sins to each other and to pray for each other so that we may be healed. What a beautiful opportunity when we're wrong, when we've sinned against someone else and we have stirred up dissension, or maybe there was already dissension and we just stirred up some more, for us to confess that and then pray together and seek reconciliation. I don't know. I think there aren't a lot of things that diffuse a heated situation faster than a humble and a sincere apology. Proverbs 15:1 and Romans 12:8 kind of echo the same sentiment in a lot of ways. We talk about a heated situation and ways to diffuse it. Proverbs 15:1 says, a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. And then Romans 12, verse 18 says, if it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. What better way to live at peace with everyone? And what better way to turn away wrath than with a sincere and a humble apology? In our home, I often tell my children and try to coach them when they need to apologize to one another about something. And I stole this from a friend who is just an incredibly wise mom and who loves the Lord so much. I think that's always just a good practice for us. You know, we find someone who just shines the light of Jesus and pick their brain. But my friend used this with her children, and I have found it to be so helpful. Of course, it's easy to talk about my own kids, but I have also found it to be fruitful for my own heart as well. And so when they apologize to one another versus that quick sorry, which, you know, that's not heartfelt. They're just checking a box. But instead, after, of course, we've talked about things and they can actually calm down and recognize their part in the situation, that they go to the other person and they say, I'm sorry for fill in the blank. And they have to be very specific about what it was that they did. So they say, I'm sorry for blank. I was wrong. Will you please forgive me? And man, that statement, I was wrong. That's hard to say, isn't it? But again, can you think of many other things that promote peace? Like an acknowledgement of sin, an acknowledgement of wrongdoing, and that seeking out forgiveness and reconciliation. We know we aren't perfect women, don't we? We know it. So let's be quick to recognize and own our sin, and then seek out that forgiveness, acknowledging what we did, and then moving towards reconciliation, so that we do as much as we possibly can do out of Romans 12, verse 18, to live at peace with everyone. I hope you have a great week.